22. 8 Rules fights fiercely at the flowing sand river. Mach A by order receives Wu Jing's submission. Now we tell you about the Tang monk and his disciples, the 3 travelers who were delivered from their ordeal. In less than a day they passed the Yellow Wind Mountain and proceeded toward the west through a vast level plain. Time went by swiftly, and summer yielded to the arrival of autumn. All they saw were some cold cicadas sing on dying willows, as the great fire rolls toward the west. As they proceeded, they came upon a huge and turbulent river, its waves surging and splashing. "Disciples!" exclaimed Tripitaka. "Look at that vast expanse of water in front of us. Why are there no boats in sight? How can we get across?" Taking a close look, 8 Rules said, "It's very turbulent, too rough for any boat." Pilgrim leapt into the air and peered into the distance, shading his eyes with his hand. Even he became somewhat frightened and said, "Master, it's truly hard. Truly hard. If Old Monkey wishes to cross this river, he need only make one twist of his body, and he will reach the other shore. But for you, Master, it's 1,000 times more difficult, for you can't traverse it even in 10,000 years. I can't even see the other shore from here," said Tripitaka. "Really, how wide is it?" "It's just about 800 miles wide," said Pilgrim. "Elder brother," said 8 Rules, "how could you determine its width just like that?" "To tell you the truth, worthy brother," said Pilgrim, "these eyes of mine can determine good or evil up to 1,000 miles away in daylight. Just now when I was up in the air, I could not tell how long the river was, but I could make out its width to be at least 800 miles. Sighing anxiously, the elder pulled back his horse and suddenly discovered on the shore a slab of stone. When the 3 of them drew closer to have a look, they saw 3 words written in seal script: "Flowing Sand River," below which there were also 4 lines written in regular style. It read, "These flowing sand meets 800 wide. These weak waters 3,000 deep. A goose feather cannot stay afloat. A rush petal will sink to the bottom." As master and disciples were reading the inscription, the waves in the river suddenly rose like tall mountains, and with a loud splash from the midst of the waters a monster sprang out. Looking most savage and hideous, he had a head full of tousled and flame-like hair, a pair of bright, round eyes which shone like lamps, an indigo face neither black nor green, an old dragon's voice like thunderclap or drum. He wore a cape of light yellow goose down, 2 strands of white reeds tied around his waist. Beneath his chin 9 skulls were strung and hung. His hands held an awesome priestly staff. Like a cyclone, the fiend rushed up to the shore and went straight for the Tang monk. Pilgrim was so taken aback that he grabbed his master and dashed for high ground to make the escape. Putting down the pole, 8 Rules whipped out his rake and brought it down hard on the monster. The fiend used his staff to parry the blow, and so the 2 of them began to unleash their power on the bank of the flowing sand river. This was some battle. The 9-pronged rake, the fiend rooting staff. These 2 met in battle on the river shore. This one was the marshal of heavenly reeds. That one was the curtain-raising captain by the throne. In years past, they met in Divine Mist's hall. Today they fought and waged a test of might. From this one the rake went out like a dragon, stretching its claws. From that one the staff blocked the way like a sharp-tusked elephant. They stood with their limbs outstretched. Each struck at the other's rib cage. This one raked madly, heedless of head or face. That one struck wildly, without pause or rest. This one was a cannibal spirit, long a lord of flowing sand. That one was a way-seeking fighter upholding law and faith. Closing in again and again, the 2 of them fought for 20 rounds, but neither emerged the victor. The great sage meanwhile was standing there to protect the Tang monk. As he held the horse and guarded the luggage, he became so aroused by the sight of 8 Rules engaging that fiend that he ground his teeth and rubbed his hands vehemently. Finally, he could not restrain himself, whipping out the rod, he said. "Master, sit here, and don't be afraid. Let old monkey go play with him a little." The master begged in vain for him to stay, and with a loud whoop he leapt forward. The monster, you see, was just having a grand time fighting with 8 rules, the two of them so tightly locked in combat that nothing seemed able to part them. Pilgrim, however, rushed up to the monster and delivered a terrific blow at his head with his iron rod. The monster was so shaken that he jumped aside. Turning around, he dove straight into the flowing sand river and disappeared. 8 Rules was so upset that he leapt about wildly, crying, "Elder brother, who asked you to come?" The monster was gradually weakening and was finding it difficult to parry my rake. Another 4 or 5 rounds and I would have captured him. But when he saw how fierce you were, he fled in defeat. "Now, what shall we do, brother?" said Pilgrim, laughing. "To tell you the truth, since defeating the Yellow Wind Fiend a month ago, I have not played with my rod all this time after leaving the mountain. When I saw how delicious your fight with him was, I couldn't stand the itch beneath my feet. That's why I jumped up here to have some fun with him. That monster doesn't know how to play, and I suppose that's the reason for his departure." Holding hands and teasing each other, the two of them returned to the Tang monk. "Did you catch the monster?" asked the Tang monk. "He didn't last out the fight," said Pilgrim. "And he scrambled back to the water in defeat." "Disciple," said Tripitaka. "Since this monster has probably lived here a long time, he ought to know the deep and the shallow parts of the river. After all, such a boundless body of weak water, and not a boat in sight, we need someone who is familiar with the region to lead us across." "Exactly," said Pilgrim. "As the proverb says, he who's near cinnabar turns red. He who's near ink becomes black. The monster living here must have a good knowledge of the water. When we catch him, we should not slay him, but just make him take master across the river before we dispose of him." "Elder brother," said 8 Rules, "no need for further delay. You go ahead and catch him, while old Hog guards our master." "Worthy brother," said Pilgrim with a laugh. "In this case, I've really nothing to brag about, for I'm just not comfortable doing business in water. If all I do is walk around down there, I still have to make the magic sign and recite the water-repelling spell before I can move anywhere. Or else I have to change into a water creature like a fish, shrimp, crab, or turtle before going in. If it were a matter of matching wits in the high mountains or up in the clouds, I know enough to deal with the strangest and most difficult situation. But doing business in water somewhat cramps my style. When I was Marshal of the Heavenly River in former years," said 8 Rules, "I commanded a naval force of 80,000 men, and I acquired some knowledge of that element. But I fear that that monster may have a few relatives down there in his den, and I won't be able to withstand him if his 7th and 8th cousins all come out. What will happen to me then if they grab me? If you go into the water to fight him," said Pilgrim, "don't tarry. Make sure, in fact, that you feign defeat and entice him out here. Then old monkey will help you." "Right you are," said 8 Rules. "I'm off." He took off his blue silk shirt and his shoes. Holding the rake with both hands, he divided the waters to make a path for himself. Using the ability he had developed in bygone years, he leapt through billows and waves and headed for the bottom of the river. We now tell you about that monster, who went back to his home in defeat. He had barely caught his breath when he heard someone pushing water, and as he rose to take a look, he saw 8 Rules pushing his way through with his rake. That monster lifted his staff and met him face to face, crying, "Monk, watch where you are going, or you'll receive a blow from this." Using the rake to block the blow, 8 Rules said, "What sort of a monster are you that you dare to bar our way? So you don't recognize me?" said the monster. "I'm no demon or fiend, nor do I lack a name or surname." "If you are no demon or fiend," said 8 Rules, "why do you stay here and take human lives? Tell me your name and surname, and I'll spare your life." The monster said, "My spirit was strong since the time of birth. I once made a tour of the universe, where my fame as a hero became well known. A gallant type for all to emulate. Through countless nations I went as I pleased. Over lakes and seas I did freely roam. To learn the way I strayed to heaven's edge. To find a teacher I stumped this great earth. For years my clothes and alms bowl went with me. Not for one day did my spirit turn lax. For scores of times I cruised cloud-like the earth, and walked to all places 100 times. Only then a true immortal I did meet, who showed me the great path of golden light. I took back baby boy and fair girl first, then released wood mother and squire of gold. Bright hall's kidney brine flooded floral pool. The tower's liver fire plunged to the heart. 3,000 merits done, I saw heaven's face, and solemnly worshipped the point of light. Then the Jade Emperor exalted me. The curtain-raising captain he made me, an honored one in South Heaven Gate. I was much esteemed at divine Mist's hall. I hung at my waist the tiger-headed shield. I held in my hands the fiend-rooting staff. Just like the sunlight my gold helmet shone. My body's armor flashed like radiant mists. I was chief of the guardians of the throne. I was first as attendant of the court, when Queen Mother gave the festival of Peach.